Fawn
and Matt. We're an interracial couple with 2 kids wanting to do something that highlights the power of friendship and what it means to be in the company of true friends. We're going to move our society away and out of the loneliness epidemic and into a friendlier, happier world. Welcome to our friendly world. Better, stronger, together.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
Matt.
Yes?
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Has this happened for you, or is it just me? I tend to look at people like angels. I believe they are like angels.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people who come to you, or maybe you somehow make your way towards them, who quite literally will hold your hand to your destiny. They'll walk you to your destiny. And something that's destined, something in you, like your path.
Right.
You know, we talk about this all the time, that I believe that we have, like, everything is contracted. Even a stranger on the street that we pass by in a split second, I believe it's a contract. Like, every single person that touches us, everything is contracted. In talking about where we're supposed to be, our track, what we came here for, it may be forgotten along the way sometimes. So
Right.
how do we get there? Because sometimes it's like you're in a sea, an ocean of uncertainty sometimes. And it's crowded with strangers, maybe friends, like I said, passers-by, coincidences that bump you along. All of a sudden you go right, you go left, you're bumped back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
You go upstream, downstream, all along the way, taking you to exactly where you belong eventually, hopefully, right?
Right.
And then it feels like, even if it appears that the ocean, the world, is recklessly pulling you down and out sometimes, what we have to do is remember to have that belief. Remember to believe that you will be brought to the surface eventually, to the shore, to where you belong. And I think that's where the angels come in, our friends. And some friends take various different forms,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there's some people that take you to your destiny. And it has nothing to do with age. It's purely timeless. Like when I was a kid, this is way before photography came into my reality, because I knew I wanted to be a photographer from a very early age. But even before that, I wanted to use my voice. And I would tell like my parents, like, oh, please, can we? And I found this recording studio in Hollywood. I remember when I was a kid. I begged them.
Right.
And they reluctantly took me there. And then all I got was grief. Like, it was a horrible situation. You know, how dare you take us to this bad neighborhood? It was disgusting. But I remember being in that studio, and it was magic. And I got onto the mic and I thought, for sure I can just speak and do it. And they gave me a script. Mind you, I'm a kid. And they gave me this script and I totally messed it up. I couldn't even say my name. And I thought, oh, well, this is, and then they told me, you need to train, of course, you know, and that's what we can help you with. And so I went out, and my dad was waiting outside, and he, oh my God, did I get like a talking to? You know, your dad was accosted by these people on the street waiting for you. I just got a whole bunch of guilt, and it was just like negative, and they're like, we can't afford it anyway. So that dream just went away. And then I thought, as some time went along and I was still a kid, photography is my thing, whatever. So that dream, that whatever it was that is in all of us, I'm sorry about talking about myself so much, but like what I'm trying to say is there is always that spark that you know to follow, regardless of what anyone else says, regardless of the circumstances. That's your destiny. So for me, I got into photography years and years and years, decades now,
Right.
of doing it. The photography led us to working together on a passion project, which is the friendship
Right.
project. And then that led to this podcast. And then this podcast led us to meeting some incredible voice artists because, podcasters and it's kind of a similar field. I've talked about this before, how incredibly loving these two industries are. It's the only, and we all know I've had lots of jobs. They're the only industries that don't have ageism, sexism, any of that. And there's no sense of like that crazy competition, of that scarcity feeling like, I'm not going to tell you about this because it's mine. I'm going to get this job and you're going to take it away from me. So I'm not going to help you. The kind of mentality. It is totally the opposite. The podcasting world, the voice acting world, it is the most embracing. It makes me want to cry. I just can't believe my great fortune of like being led here. Like I was led here. So this leads me to our very special guest today, my friend, my mentor, Rachael Naylor, and I will introduce you to her in just a second. I just want to leave you with one kind of a quote. I don't remember her exact words, but I was speaking with my friend Sarah the other day. We were talking about the voiceover industry, in particular my experience and how I lost a friend recently because just so much negativity, right? She was always saying, oh, what are you doing? It's a scam, basically not believing in the dream. And like whatever I said was like, you're being scammed. You're never going to make it anyway. Oh my God, there is just such a tough industry. You're never going to make it. So Sarah was saying, number one, keep your mouth shut about that. Like just do your work and don't tell people about your dream necessarily.
And I think that's a good thing for life, period.
Really?
Like focus on where you are going. Don't worry about, every entrepreneur has heard ain't gonna work. You're going to lay down a transatlantic cable? Are you mental?
Right.
What, telegraphs across like countries? No, that's just ridiculous. A letter's good enough.
You want to like jump off the planet and go to the moon? A bicycle? What? But which you use the word entrepreneur.
Yes.
Which our friend Rachael is. And also, so is Sarah. And this is what Sarah said in regards to entrepreneurship. And by the way, Matt, before I forget, can you bring up what you noticed about the voiceover industry we were talking about the other day? I find it totally fascinating. Remember? Hold on, guys. I'm going to whisper it into Matt's ear.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I whispered it. Okay. So this is what Sarah said. She said, it's a calling, even when it doesn't make sense. It's not practical, but there's something in you that doesn't stop. There are no guarantees, but it's a calling. And if you don't act on it, there's a feeling of anxiety, depression, emptiness. And I feel like besides the loneliness word that we're not supposed to say anymore, I'll just say it, the loneliness epidemic. I think also what's happening in the world is people have so much anxiety and sadness and borderline depression even. This sense of emptiness is because we need to look around for our friends that are out there, my Rachels out there, my Rachael Naylors out there, that quite literally are so giving and selfless and will take your hand and baby step you along the way. And it doesn't even take a long time either, and take you to your destiny. Which leads me to your new friend. Most of you out there in the voiceover industry, all of you already know Rachael Naylor, but our friends out there who don't know, who aren't part of the voice industry yet, or would like to be, or just want to hear an amazing speaker. She's a great motivational speaker as well. Please meet your friend, your new friend, Rachael Naylor. Rachael, hello.
Hello. Oh, thank you so much. That was, you said some really beautiful things, and I'm really honored and touched, and it's very special to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I know how busy you are. I'm really grateful that you're here. Just to reiterate, did I mention that Rachael is responsible for leading me to the voiceover industry?
Yes.
Did I already mention that?
I got that. Unfortunately,
well, I wasn't sure. I was riffing in my head, and sometimes I don't know if I get my point across.
Right.
But you all understood that?
Yes.
She's the reason.
Okay. Your fault.
Did you say your fault?
honestly, I'm biting my tongue because I keep wanting to go into a cheesy 70 voiceover voice.
Oh, Matt. So
It's very hard for me to like keep it together right now.
well, okay, before we start talking about that, it's so funny. Please, Rachel, can you tell our friends everything? Can you please let our friends know what you're all about? In 15 seconds.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. So, well, I am a voice actor. I've been a voice actor for over 20 years now. I came into the industry when it was a very different world. I am also editor of the Buzz magazine, which is the only magazine in the world dedicated to the voiceover industry. I am a producer and director at Elements Demos. I am host of the Voiceover Hour. What else am I? Oh, yes, I'm the CEO and founder of the VoiceOver Network. And I'm a multi-award winning entrepreneur, as well as being a mum
Yes.
to incredible human beings. And yes, and a naughty beagle dog. So there we go.
Rachel,
That's me.
one of the things, I mean, the reason why I wanted you to speak to all of us today is because we always talk about community. And
Mm-hmm.
and I just find it so amazing. Matt and I want to ask you how you did it. First of all, to explain further, the voiceover network that you created, this network, is, I'll go back a little bit. When we had our first child, even before that, we would always hear, it takes a village to raise a child. And it was just me and Matt, no family, just the two of us on an island near Seattle. We were so alone. Like, and honestly, when we had so many mishaps with giving birth at the hospital, we almost died. There was no one to help us. And I kept hearing, it takes a village. And I would get so mad inside because I'm like, where is it? I don't see a village. And that's where the whole friendship movement really came about for us, talking about a dating service for platonic friendships. But truly, where is the village? We don't see it. Like, it wasn't just us. And people were in such denial about it. And obviously, this is way before the P word, that locked us down. We started to think, how do you even start a community? How do you do that? And you've done it so beautifully. And you not only did it like around where you were, it is worldwide. When we get on to our meetings, it spans the entire world of voice actors, of artists, of not just actors, but everybody, all the creatives that are in that industry. And it's not just for business. I have met, like, one of my friends that I always talk about, Michelle Silence. There are so many people that I consider family, beautiful friends. What other industry can you say that about? Can you say that about your industry, Matt? Matt's a computer programmer. Oh, Matt's head just bowed down.
Oh, it's...
Are you sad? Are you jealous? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, dear.
But do you know what I'm saying?
I
like,
do.
It is phenomenal.
No, I was going to make an insightful point. Mm-hmm. In my field, I'm seen as disposable. I'm seen as a resource. You plug me in. I'm this cog. I'll fit here, and I'll go, and I'll produce something wonderful. And then if you don't have space for me anymore, you'll kick me to the curb. Da-da-da-da-da-da. But I think voices are not interchangeable. I think that everybody brings to it a lifetime of experience, but this is my complete naivete. But,
Do you think being a guy, being a tech guy, do you feel AI will take over that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What?
No question.
No.
Yes.
The voices, the individual
No, I'm
voices.
sorry, not voices. I'm as a tech guy, take over my job.
Oh,
yes.
No. I was talking about taking over that human imprint of a voice.
No.
Good news, Rachel, because he doesn't know anything about the voice industry, right? But he knows tech.
Well, I think the bottom feeders will use AI, yes. But there's bottom feeders in every industry. So if I have 50 cents to pay for a voice, then I'm going to get a 50-cent voice. I mean, I think that's just how it's going to go. And those jobs will go to the firms that can generate I want somebody who sounds like this mixed with this mixed with this versus, I think that's what I want to hear, but let me hear it. Let's go back and forth. Let's get an understanding of what it is you're really, what you're trying to convey, how you're trying to convey it.
Maybe we should have 2 episodes with Rachel. I would love to have the both of you discuss AI. But going back to, I really want to go back to starting to talk about voice and voicing a community, using your voice. It is an imprint. It is like a thumbprint or fingerprint. Nobody has the same experience as you. Like photography, I can stand in the same spot. You can come stand in the same exact spot I'm standing. We'll take completely different pictures.
Right.
With the same vantage point even. Right?
Right.
I think it's the same with voice, but let's turn to the real professional, Rachel. So I guess what's the first question? Because look at this. I mean, we have 2 pages of questions, single lined, to ask you. But let's just talk about community. How did you even? Why did you? How did you start it? And when did you? What? Like, so you're my friend that led me.
Mm-hmm.
Was there someone? Is the word catalyst? What was the guiding light for you that led you to starting this amazing community that brings everyone together and helps them thrive on every level, financially, creatively? I'll just stop talking now. I'm sorry. I'm a bad interviewer. Have you noticed?
You used every what, how, why, who
Can you just hold? Let me just shut up.
So no, you're wonderful.
What happened?
You're wonderful.
What
happened? Oh my gosh, so many things going through my head. Where to start? And it was interesting actually. I'll jump in with you. You were talking about feeling alone. Having kids, and I sort of, when you said that, it made me think back to what happened with me, in that I was the first out of my friendship group to get pregnant. And so nobody else was having babies and nobody else was pregnant. And so I didn't have anyone, and I was the youngest in my family. So I was never around kids and, babies. I had no idea, it's like, oh, what do you do with a baby? And so, and here in the UK, what happens when you get pregnant is most people join something, join a kind of, it's called NLP. Not NLP. No, it's not NLP. It's called, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's this parent teaching group. So when you're pregnant, you go along and you pay, right? So you pay, and it's quite expensive. And people talk about it and say, oh, well, you're basically paying to make friends. And I remember at the time being really irritated by this and thinking, I'm not going to pay to make friends. What are you talking about? Because you get some free help from the NHS. But anyway, so I decided that I was going to set up my own meetup for pregnant mums. I don't know where it came from. And I found this baby centre website, and I just put a note up on the baby centre website. And I said, is there anyone else in West London who wants to meet up for a coffee who's pregnant? I'm going to go to Cafe Nero's in Twickenham on this day at this time. Come and join me. And about 10 women showed up. I couldn't believe it.
Nice.
I was I was so amazed that anybody, I really didn't think anyone was going to show up. And 10 women showed up. And they were all so grateful to me. And they just were like, wow, this is amazing. We all sat around and talked and, compared our bumps and what was your date. And it was just really wonderful. And from there, I just started this coffee meetup. And it's interesting because I'm still really good friends with 4 of those women. They've been incredible in my life. And I sort of feel like that's kind of where it started. So anyway, so then I had my eldest, and I came into the industry, as I said, over 20 years ago. And it was very different back then. You didn't have a home studio unless you were rich, and you had to have an agent to get work. So those were 2 kind of really, strong things. And I found voiceovers almost by accident. My teacher at school had said that, when I was at drama school, had said that I should look into voiceovers. And I wasn't really that interested. I was like, well, I'm going to go and make movies, so I don't know what you're talking about. And then I came across this 2-hour workshop about voiceovers, and I thought, oh well, I'm waiting tables, I'm doing this, that, and the other as an actor. I will go and check it out. And it was such a strong, life-changing moment for me, and I'll never forget it. And I had this moment where I got in the studio and I just knew. Everything in my body knew this was where I was meant to be. And I remember the colours of the wall. It was this blue colour, and the texture, it was this soft texture on the wall. I remember the smell. I remember it so clearly. And I just remember this strong, profound feeling that this was where I was meant to be. Like everything in my life had led me to this. And I was like, right, okay, so how do I get going? What do I need to do? I'm in, like, sign me up. Let's get a demo made. Let's do it. So I had my demo made and I played it to my friends and family, and everybody said, oh my God, you're amazing. And I was like, well, this is brilliant. And I sent it out. So back then you had CDs. So I had to burn these CDs, and I had to make all the production, and make the packaging and make a mess of all of that, and print things on the wrong way and upside down and do all of that. But anyway, after a lot of back and forward to the printer, I managed to come up with these CDs, and I sent them out to a bunch of agents. And I was so excited. Who's going to have me? And I got rejected. Most of them didn't actually even reply, and the ones that did just said no. And I was heartbroken, and I just didn't understand it, because I had this feeling that this was where I was meant to be.
And you're a
So
trained actor. You're a
yeah,
trained actor.
yeah,
First of all, you're from England.
yeah,
Not to sound ignorant, but I really appreciate how in the UK people take their craft very seriously.
yeah,
Schooling,
absolutely.
I mean, you have major training. I feel like
Yeah.
here everybody's like, oh, I'll just make myself a business card. Oh, I'm a photographer. There's no training.
Mm.
I'm sorry, you're like a supremely trained actor. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
bless
I just
you.
wanted to put that in there.
Thank you. Um, yeah, it was interesting. I got rejected. Then I went away and took some time to kind of lick my wounds. And then I came back and tried again. Thought, right, okay, let's go again. Come on. And I sent my demo out to all these agents, and I got rejected again. And that was hard. And I was like,
Right.
ouch. So I went away, did all sorts of other things, event managing, this, that, and the other, promos, theatre and education. And then I came back and tried again, and I got rejected again and again and again. And this went on for a couple of years. Um, and I kept coming back to it, even though it hurt. Oh, the feeling of rejection hurt, but I kept coming back to it. Anyway, I then decided, right, sod you agents, I'm going to go and get my own work. So I went and just started sending my demo out to production companies, which back then wasn't really the done thing. But I was so sure that this was where I was meant to be. And I was so passionate about making this work. And then I started getting the odd little bit here and there. And then I got my first break, was this advert came through, and it was actually, I saw this advert for a Spanish speaking voice actor job. They were looking for Spanish speaking voice actors. And I don't speak Spanish, but I wrote to them anyway. And I did tell them I don't speak Spanish, but if you're looking for an English speaking voice actor, let me know. And it was one of those things, it happened to land on the desk the day they were casting for the voice of Virgin Media here in the UK. And they got me in, and I auditioned, and I ended up booking it. And Virgin Media is, they do the phone lines, the TV, the broadband, it's a huge company. And I went on to record a lot for them. I think it was every week I'm still on all their systems, but I did every week for 13 years. I recorded for them. And I'll tell you this, even after I got that gig and I was recording for Virgin Media, I was a voice that millions of people were listening to every day. I still struggled to get an agent. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Anyway, I did. In the end, I signed with an agent, and I then started seeing some success, and that was great. My career took off. And suddenly I was with this great agent and I was in and out of recording studios. I was on the TV doing adverts, documentaries, promos. Things were going really well. It was really exciting. And then everything would just stop. And my phone would stop ringing and the emails would stop coming in. It would just go dead. And I would be like, uh-oh, I don't know. Has everyone figured out that I don't know what I'm doing? Uh-oh. And then it would pick up again. And suddenly my agent would start calling again and I'd be booked and I'd be going in and out of the studios and it'd be fantastic. And then it would just die again. And so I went through this wonderful thing that lots of people know, particularly in the arts, of feast and famine.
Right.
And it was really hard and tough on my credit card as well, because but when you're busy and it's brilliant, wonderful, but then suddenly it stops and then you freak out and think, oh my God, I'm terrible, I don't know what I'm doing. I remember thinking, right, okay, this is crazy, I've got to fix this, because I know that when I go in the studio, people like what I'm doing, but it's just those bits in between, like, how can I fix this? Why am I going through these dips? And I realized that it was the business side of being a voice actor that I didn't understand. And so I thought, right, okay. Because when I was at college and drama school, business was the last thing I was interested in. I just hand me a microphone and get me on stage was all I wanted. You know, I am a performer. Like, I'd never wanted to study business or anything like that. I was like, what? Anyway, but I found myself going, okay, right, come on, Rachel, you need to figure this out. You've got to go and learn about business. Just one of those kind of synchronicity moments. Must have signed up for something, but I got this email that came through to my inbox, and it was about a free business expo that was happening. And I think the email came through, I'm pretty sure it was like the Wednesday, and it was happening on the Friday. And it was at Twickenham Stadium, which is a rugby stadium, which is very close, was very close where I lived. And I was free that day. And I thought, okay, all right, this is a sign. I'll go along to this business expo and let's talk to some small business owners. And I went along and I was terrified because I just thought, this is not my crowd. This is not my tribe. And I turned up and luckily I bumped into someone I knew from school. And he said to me, oh, hey, he said hello. And he said, oh, are you here to see Nigel Botterill? And I said, Nigel who? Anyway, before I knew it, we were all ushered into this large auditorium and we sat down, all crammed in, and out bounded onto the stage this tall Yorkshireman in this brightly coloured shirt and Nigel Botterill. And he came out onto stage and he was funny, charismatic, and so generous with the information. And this was a free event. I hadn't paid anything to be there. And I was writing all these notes in my notebook. He was just lots and lots of wonderful advice about being a business owner. And I just couldn't believe the information he was giving away. At the end of his talk, I got my credit card out and I was like, whatever he's selling, sign me up. Like, I'm in. I don't care. I was like, I'm in. I thought he was brilliant. There was a moment that it changed. There were a few things he said in his talk that really shifted things for me. One of them was about taking responsibility. And I remember him turning to the audience and saying, it's all your fault. And that just was exactly what I needed to hear in that moment, to take responsibility for my life, for where I was. I joined his organization, which was an entrepreneur organization. So Nigel has had 8 businesses, probably more than that have all turned over $1 million. He's a very successful entrepreneur who hangs out with Richard Branson. He's that kind of level. And I joined his organization. It was a membership organization for entrepreneurs. It's still running now, and the Entrepreneur Circle. I just threw myself into everything. And I went along to all the events, all the meetups. I just immersed myself. And as part of the organization, you've got a business coach. So Nigel has had a huge impact on my life, and he's still a big part of my life now. And I say this to him often. I say the VoiceOver Network would not be here without Nigel Botterill. Like, he inspired me. He had belief in me. He has been a mentor to me. He has been incredible. But I didn't get to know him one-on-one until a little bit later, because I had a business coach who I worked with, and this was back in 2014, and he's called Damien Mark Smith. And I remember it was a couple of days before Christmas, and we had a phone call, and he was driving his car at the time, and I thought, oh, it's a bit rude that we're having our first, and I'm here to learn about business. And anyway, it was I think it was an hour we chatted while he was driving, and I described this because this is kind of how it felt for me. In life, I think we have all sorts of other people's stuff gets kind of put on our shoulders, and it starts to weigh us down. Other people's opinions, other people's negativity. And he, in this kind of chat with Damien, he took all of that off my shoulders and just let me fly. And it was an amazing moment of just believing that I could do it, that I could do whatever I wanted. He just basically said, what do you want? Right, go and make it happen. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. And so I worked with him for he was brilliant. He again really helped me in the early days of the VoiceOver Network. I had all sorts of imposter syndrome, like, who am I? And I still, by the way, imposter syndrome is something that we all still deal with. So it's a very long-winded answer to your question.
No, I love it. I love it. This is what I wanted to know, every detail.
Yeah, so Nigel, massive inspiration, and he has helped me tremendously, and so did Damien. And so what happened was, back in 2013, I went for a drink with 3 other voice actors, and this was 2 months after I'd first seen Nigel speak on stage. Very, very soon after that, I went for a drink with 3 other voice actors in West London, and I thought, wow, this is great, because as voice actors, we spend most of our time on our own in a little black box talking to ourselves, but we're actually really bubbly, outgoing, creative, friendly people. And so this was wonderful to meet up with other voice actors, and we talked about agents, we talked about marketing, we talked about home studios. And so I decided to start a little meetup group, and just, right, once a month, let's go to the pub. And it was originally called the West London Voiceover Artist Meetup Group, which is a terrible name, I know.
Very long.
And it was just, let's go to the pub. And, people were coming, and they would come once a month, and we would all hang out and create these wonderful friendships. And then people from other parts of London started saying, well, I live in North London. Can I come? And I was like, sure, we're just going to the pub. Anyone can come. And then I decided to make it Central London. And I came to my senses and changed the name, luckily, and it became the VoiceOver Network. And working with Nigel and Damien, who both believed in me, and I remember this belief that they had in me, and it was so surprising to me, because I thought, what are they? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not, I didn't study business. I'm just an actor who gets behind a microphone and likes meeting up with people in the pub, but they both believed in me. And I remember going to this one event, this entrepreneur event, and Nigel calling me out in front of 250 other entrepreneurs as somebody who was changing things and who was doing something really special. And I mean, I nearly fell off my chair. I would just explode with just, like, I couldn't really believe it. And so both Nigel and Damien believed in me and would say, you can do it. Whatever I would come up with, well, maybe I could help more people. Yes, absolutely. Go for it. And they both encouraged me to follow this feeling that I had, where I just had this feeling that I wanted to create something bigger and help more voice actors and help people so they didn't go through what I went through when I started my career. All that heartbreak, all that pain, feeling lost, feeling like nobody was there for me. Nobody helped me in my early days. I just had to kind of keep trying again and again and making more and more mistakes. I wanted to make a difference and help people. And the industry was going through this huge change in 2014. Lots of people coming into the industry, and there were people in the industry who were getting very cross. And so I decided to launch the VoiceOver Network as a membership organization, because I wanted to create a safe place for voiceover professionals of all levels from around the world to come together to get the right help, support, and advice, and to be part of a family and to feel like they had a community. And I wanted that for myself, actually, thinking back to that now, that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a voiceover family and feel that I had all these friends and connections. And I also had realized that networking was really important in my voiceover career. And so I wanted to create more networking environments for my business as well. And so I launched it in January 2015. I was 9 weeks pregnant. It was me and a part time assistant. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I remember telling Nigel that I had this idea of creating this membership. And he encouraged me because he said, basically, take what I've done with the Entrepreneurs Circle and do it for the voiceover industry. And I was like, you don't mind me doing it? I was like, go for it, just take what I've done and okay. And he said, right, pick a date that you're going to launch. Before I'd done anything, he just said, right, first thing you do, pick a date that you're going to launch. And I remember, okay, right. End of January. I think this was in November or December. And I said, okay, end of January. He said, right, great. Okay, so you're going to have an event, you're going to launch it. Right, plan the event, get the event planned, sell the tickets, and then you have to do the rest. And
no pressure.
But
amazing.
How do you even do? How did you even know how to set up the tech side of it or anything? Like what?
I didn't know what I was doing. And people came to me. So I do believe we attract people into our lives. Yeah. And so somebody came into my life I'd known from school who was a web developer. And in 3 weeks, he built the website. And so there was some other things that kind of came together. And I launched it. And and it was, I had a dream. And actually, I had a speech and I did name it I Have a Dream. There were lots of things that went wrong and there was a lot of trouble that I had getting there, but I did it. And I got to that launch event and I launched it and people joined and I was amazed. And then from there on, it was all about helping people and bringing people together. And I do feel, for me, my thing of being on this planet, I think is about bringing people together. That is something that brings me a huge amount of joy. And I'm fascinated by people. And I've always had this positive belief in people. I always see the best in everyone. And I tell you, it bites me on the arse sometimes because, you can get stung when you always believe that everybody's got, we're all here helping each other and everybody's, not everybody does feel the same way, but it is, it's kind of, and I joke about it's my superpower, but it's also my kind of kryptonite as well, that I have this kind of positivity about everybody is out to do the best and try to help each other. But sorry, yes. So there we go. So
totally.
Nigel,
Matt, does that sound familiar? Because Matt's the logical one, and I used to be so open and such a hippie, believing the best in everyone and always getting burned. And meanwhile, Matt's like, honey, I think you honey. I'm like, no, they're wonderful. Yeah. And totally, it is heartbreaking. Which is why another reason why we started doing what we're doing and we followed the Nicomachean ethics. I don't want people to go through what we went through. Such heartache, especially when things go awry. Matt almost lost his life and all the friends that I thought I had, best friends, disappeared. To this day, they don't know if we're alive. They just disappeared.
But anyway.
No, I'm just saying that it's hard. It is. That's the whole other conversation I'd love to have is how do you make it through that? Especially when you're creating something so wonderful. How do you keep the naysayer voice out of your own head? How do you keep the experiences of something that was devastating because someone was terrible to you in the industry or not in the industry that can rock you to your core and just make you not ever want to get up again? What is it that makes you carry on despite that? And as you were talking, I made a little note here because I'm like, I think one of the things, and that's what you are for me, Rachel, is that the belief a mentor has in you, a belief a friend has in you, oftentimes has a magical superpower of erasing the negative thing in your head. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it also struck me that I'm willing to bet 9 weeks pregnant, scheduling an event, and then figuring out what the heck you're even launching at this event. You were kind of too busy to have a lot of voices in there.
Yeah, I was pretty busy. Yeah, there was a lot of scrambling, and getting it together and getting it out there. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of time for
A
anything.
retrospection or letting those voices talk to you. And
Yeah, and I think that's, it was kind of magical. And actually, we have to put ourselves in difficult places in
sometimes,
order to create beautiful things.
yes,
So you don't overthink it.
I very much adhere to science fiction writer Theodore Sturgeon proposed a law that says 90% of anything is crap.
Mm,
But that means 10% of things are okay to very, very good. And I think it's
yeah.
about focusing in on that 10%. And, it's kind of a universal truth from books to movies to, if you really go looking, you can find a lot of really bad things, but also that minority of good. And when you do find the good, you focus on that more than anything else.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's the friends who have that kind of unwavering belief in you. That's
Yeah, definitely.
that's where it's.
Definitely.
So, would you say most voiceover people are extroverts then? Caught in these little boxes recording to these little microphones, or is there most doesn't apply here? It's just people.
It's a real mix actually in the voiceover industry. And in order to be a good voice actor, you need to be a really good communicator. And that's the key. And it's not necessarily about being extrovert. There are lots of extroverts, and I'm definitely an extrovert. But there are a lot of introverts who come to the voiceover industry who are creative, who want to perform but wouldn't get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of neurodivergence within the voiceover industry, a lot of autism. A lot of people come into the voiceover industry because they want to create and they want to perform, but they couldn't learn lines and they can't get on stage. But they can get in front of a microphone and read a script and connect. And I think that's really beautiful. Being a voice actor is so wonderful and magical because we get to entertain and inspire and educate and empower, and we get to be a magical voice to some people in a day where they feel lost. We will voice a video about cancer, to
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's just being diagnosed, or the voice in a video game where with a child who is feeling disconnected from the world but feels connected in that world, an animation that breathes life into somebody's life. There's so many beautiful things that we get to be part of as voice actors, and we don't see the end result. Of course we don't get to see that, but sometimes we hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get in touch, particularly in the video game world. I have done some signings where I've gone along, and people have come up and they've been shaking, and they're just completely starstruck, and they've lived with your voice, and the character that I've played has had a big impact on their life. And that's really special to know that that I've been part of that. I think being a voice actor is just such an honor, and it's a wonderful career. I'm pleased to help other people on their journey. That's the other thing, that I do now. I've got my career, but
Mm-hmm.
I help, like you, Fawn, and that to me has got it's just the most beautiful, special feeling ever to help other people on their journey.
So I brought up Greg Braden.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very metaphysical. Greg Braden always talks about how the voice is. Oh, he talks about it in a very scientific way. I'm totally going to butcher what he says, but the voice alone, just the voice, can reach and manifest things. It is a spiritual tool
Mm,
that he says only humans have, that can, through just a sound that you make, the vibration frequency of a human voice
Mm-hmm.
can manifest things.
yeah.
Look him up, Greg Braden. I went to a week-long workshop where he was talking about this,
Mhm.
all on the voice. And he's not a voice actor, he's a scientist, but it's
Wow.
true. And I think that's why, especially now, I feel it is such a powerful tool to use our voices to connect with one another.
Yeah.
going beyond the industry, going beyond doing this as a voice actor, learning how, like you said, Rachel, to communicate, because it brings us together. Because
Yeah.
hearing, even if we're hearing impaired, the vibration of a voice, I mean, think about a fetus inside, right? They feel the vibration, the tone of
Yeah.
everything. And going back to AI, probably again, it's, you can't have a robot recreate that. It's the human
Yeah.
heart, it's the heartbeat, it's the vibration, it's the frequency of it that can change in a split second while you're
Yeah.
talking.
Well, I think the fun part is we can play word salad with what you just said.
What's that?
AI recreates, humans create. And that to me is different. I mean, there's a reason why, like, the Christian Holy Book says in the beginning, basically, let there be light. That's a voice saying that. It's not, it all starts with a voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also, in terms of connecting, humans, we connect with each other through vulnerability.
Definitely true.
And it's something that I've learned a lot about, this vulnerability, that it's beautiful and it's delicate and it's fragile and we all have it. And often society says, wrap it up, shove it down, keep it quiet and move on and pretend that you're strong and everything's fine and just get on with it, get on with it, get on with it. And we have this society where we just all rushing around and quick and just everything's brilliant and show pictures of yourself on social media, having a great time and everything's, perfect. And that, I think, has created a disconnect. And I think it's through vulnerability that we reconnect with each other. And
Very much.
I think that's when I coach, and Fawn, when I talk about getting behind the microphone, it's about you being vulnerable and letting people in and opening yourself up. And I've learned a huge amount about doing that through running the VoiceOver Network. And, I often stand up and I talk about my mistakes and my challenges and things that have gone wrong in my life. And that's where people connect and they resonate because it's real. I'm a real human being who has, I have issues and problems, and I've, as I've got health issues. I have MS as well, which is something that I talk openly about. It's a big challenge in my life, but I think it's important to talk about it and be open about it, because I think as human beings, that's how we connect, and we need more connection.
That is the perfect explanation of how to have friendship, is through exactly what Rachel said, all of it. Just replay that over and over again. That's the key to having community. That's the key to having friendship, is vulnerability and allowing yourself to be open, allowing yourself to see someone else's openness and treating it as a beautiful gift. And not to get negative, but I think there are people out there who treat it as a weapon, right? Yeah. Like when you open up, they'll use it as a way to use it against you. And I think that's absolutely why the corporate world is the way it is, because it is such the mentality of fierceness, of hunting. You're in survival mode, right? Mm-hmm. So you're looking for that vulnerability so you can shoot the arrow and kill.
Right.
So you can win.
Right.
Whereas really to thrive in any community, in anything, it's about sharing your food, sharing your fire, and coming together and creating. You have security in that. We have security in each other's hearts, and I think we have to remember that now more than ever before, is that really the secure way is the open way. It's the vulnerable way.
Yeah.
As opposed to the killing way, as opposed to the fierce way. There's great power in openness and softness. And I think that as a woman too, do you know what I'm saying? There's great power.
Right.
In, I mean, there's great power in that softness even. Am I digressing?
No. I really want to digress and talk about how ancient civilizations, like the religions, were in charge of the granaries, and the granaries would be open in times of famine. And this is why you lived in a town. This is why you lived in a society, is when times were lean, you would get help. And oftentimes, especially nowadays, it can feel like we're in so much survival mode because things are changing and, things were always changing, but it seems so fast now.
It's a muscle memory that somehow we were wrongly trained for. Except if you do martial arts, which was how we met in martial arts school. That when things get tough, the wrong mentality is to tense up and like, oh, just make it happen. As opposed to if you loosen up all your muscles and be open. We come from Aikido, which is like you have to be like water, like how Bruce Lee would say. Although he wasn't Aikido, but what our sensei would say, you have to be lazy. Like the more tired you are, the better you can. He didn't say fight. Well, how would he say it? Like the more tired you are,
the better you'll do. But, water flows downhill. Welcome. That's life right there in a nutshell. Water flows downhill. Water is not trying to do things against its nature. It's trying just to be itself and flow. But wow, we just went way off on a tangent. Voiceovers.
Well, I mean, no, but that is the VoiceOver Network. That is that community of, I was tense when I walked in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was starting to not be tense because I came from the podcasting world. By the way, Rachel, have you ever met Chris Kremitzos?
No.
He's like a you in the podcasting world. He created Podfest. And he's
nice.
also an entrepreneur, and he is also a lovely, generous human being. All love and creates a family. And I'm sure you've come together in an event in some way, but he's also another example of creating a beautiful family. But we were talking about water and allowing yourself to be open and soft. In times of struggle, in times of strife. I mean, hello, I discovered the VoiceOver Network during the pandemic when I was scared. We were scared. We were like, oh,
Everybody
you lost your job. We were like, oh my God. And then here's the VoiceOver Network, and it was so positive. And here's Rachel saying, there's plenty of work out here, you guys. There's so much you can do. And there was just beyond the voice, there was such positivity and so much learning going on and so much richness and so many stories and so much hope and so much help. Sorry about that pop. Sorry. I'm very self-conscious about my voice right now in front of the mic with Rachel here.
Oh, you got a beautiful voice.
I just popped a pee on the mic. But thank you, Rachel. I just want to thank you for what you created, because with you and with Chris, with voice acting and with podcasting, for the first time in my life, I was welcomed into a community. And growing up the way I did, I'm an immigrant, I'm Persian. I was never accepted by the Persian people. I was never fully accepted by like the American culture either. I wasn't totally embraced by the photography community. I had to fight to like do anything I was doing. I had to do everything by myself. And for the first time in my life, coming across you and what I've been able to do, it's affected our family in such a beautiful way. In such a rich way. It has added to everything. I mean, you literally helped me step by step, and I thought it would take forever, but you had me write everything down. You had me create vision boards again, which was something that I kind of let go of because I'm like, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. But you brought that back into my reality, and doing stuff like that and doing these steps with me along the way. I was looking, I'm looking at everything you had me write down, and I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I'm doing it. And I did it. Despite all the naysayers, look at everything. Like, we're in awe in the family. Like, we're at dinner together. We're like, can you believe it? I didn't tell you this, but like our oldest, we were sitting on the couch. I got onto my phone because the phone is now connected to me at all times because an audition will come through and I want to jump on it, right? And so
Yeah.
Brandon came up. I was looking at Brandon's Instagram, and our oldest Elle was looking at Brandon saying, "Oh, he's so handsome." And she's like, "Can you believe it, Mom? Look at this. He's your manager. Like, this is amazing." I can't, she didn't say I can't believe it, but she was saying I can't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe it either. And it's all thanks to you, Rachel. I mean, I never, with all the voices out there, and by voices I mean the naysayers, all of the weight, it's like you have a sword of light. You have cut through all of that and forged a path for me in a forest that seemed way too dark, and I didn't even see a path that you have created for me and taught me how to walk and do it and find the fruit out there. You know, I really want to thank you. You have changed my life. You have changed all of our lives in this family, because I mean, the vision board alone, like, I'm like, see, it works, you guys. Like, things happen, and I put a yellow heart next to something that has come true, and like unbelievable things. I'm like, look, this one happened. And, you know, now our kids are little teenagers, and they're negative sometimes. They're like, it's never going to happen. If you want something, and if you say it out loud, it just won't happen. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. They're seeing directly from your teachings. Your teachings have been influencing now the next generation in our family, in our little tiny thing here. So thank you, Rachel.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your beautiful words. That means a lot. It means a huge amount. And yeah, wow.
Having said that, but I had, like I said, we had 2 pages of notes, questions.
Oh, yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to add before I ask you some other questions?
There was one thing that I was thinking about, which was generosity. And I think back to when I started the VoiceOver Network meetup groups, you know, when it was going to the pub. And I used to bring my clients, and I would invite my agents and my clients to come along, and I would introduce them to other people. And people were so shocked and surprised. And I remember when I came into the industry, people bring my clients. These are my clients. You're copying me. There was a lot of negativity about, like, this is mine. And I saw that going on, and instead of getting sucked into it, I was repelled by it. And I decided to go the other way. And so at my events, I would bring clients and I would introduce them to other people, and people were shocked. And I would just be like, but they're not my clients. They're not mine to own. And if my voice is the right voice for a job, then great. But I'm not going to voice everything. And I think that energy, you know, that's how the VoiceOver Network started was with this generosity of, when I bring my agents along to loads of things, and I'm always introducing people to them, and I'm always introducing, clients that I've got to other people within the industry, because I just think that lovely feeling of giving, it comes back. It does come back to us. And I do think, being generous and helping others is the key to life and is the key to success.
I agree. It also reminds me back again to martial arts, or feeling so tight and restricted, tightening your muscles. That makes for pain. That creates hurt. You'll get an injury when you're tight like that. Much like if your fist, this was said by my friend's mother, that let's say someone has their fist and they have some cash in it. That tight fist is not able to receive, because you're like holding on to that cash with your fist, right? Closed fist. If you loosen, it allows for giving and receiving, right? Isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's an energy, isn't it? So energy is contagious. Positive energy is contagious. Negative energy is contagious. But generous energy is contagious. So if you are generous to other people will be generous back to you. The universe mirrors back to us what we put out. And it can be scary to trust in other people and think, okay, I'm going to give. I'm just going to give without expecting anything return, without asking for anything return. I'm just going to give. And I've heard, I'm lucky that I've been to a lot of amazing talks by top entrepreneurs who have explained this feeling of just helping others and giving and sharing. I'm the youngest of three in a very active family that I joke with people that if there wasn't sharing in my house, I would have gone hungry.
Right.
So I
Right.
grew up in a family where, we did share. And, I'm grateful to my parents. They obviously instilled that in me because that is something that I feel passionate about sharing and helping others.
I agree.
Yeah, I very much believe that your worldview, what you focus on, is what you focus on. So, we bought a new car, and all of a sudden, every car on the road is our car because I'm noticing every
Yeah.
single one that goes by, right? And it's because I'm focused in that direction. If I'm focused on scarcity, then that's all I'm going to see. If I'm focused on abundance,
Yeah.
then that's all I'm going to see. And you're right. I mean, we are not interchangeable. Nobody brings to the table what I bring to the table as a person, as an employee, as a whatever. And, the more people realize that, and the more the people realize that, you don't like me, but maybe you like this other person, I think the better off we're going to be.
Yeah. And I think corporate America needs to embrace that because we are taught that we are interchangeable, not
Right.
valuable.
And then we're treated interchangeably too, as far as like how they think we'll learn, how they think we'll experience, how they think what they believe we will produce. It's pretty ridiculous on many levels.
And once again, it goes back to why we have what we have here is people think, oh God, friendship, I don't need to make any friends. And it's not, I mean, that's not just the only thing we're talking about. It's deep. It's deep. Learning how to communicate, using your voice, using your heart is how to transform the world, especially right now. To have us going in a better direction is to remember that. And having said that, I don't want to ask any more questions from Rachel, the ones I had on this page, all these words, because I would love to have Rachel come back if she has time to do that. I just want to relish and have that beautiful taste in my mouth of everything we just were nourished by. Rachel, thank you so much. And sincerely, I've been studying with Rachel for over 4 years now, and I really recommend her. She is such an amazing, brilliant teacher. I would recommend joining the VoiceOver Network. You'll meet people from around the world, learn how to use your voice. We all need to learn how our voice affects other people and how we can create change, transform through voice. It's really important. You become aware of so many nuances. There's so many magical aspects to voice and learning. There's this person, she does TEDx talks. She used to work for the CIA or something, but she notices micro gestures in people. She can spot out a liar, or she can spot out what's really going on. It's really understanding what's really going on. And that's what I learned at the VoiceOver Network was, yes, you can say something. We all can say the same line. But if you can feel a certain way, it translates. So, like, I was blown away like, Rachel will bring on these amazing agents. Amazing. What do I always blank out on the term? The people who find.
Manager?
Not the manager, the other ones, that casting directors. But I've heard a few of them say, and more of them say, that when they listen to their clients as they're turning in their auditions, they can tell what's going on with them. And that terrified me at first. I'm like, oh, they do? And now I'm starting to hear it because my ear is being trained for it. Like, I'm hearing things I never heard before. So, like, remember, Rachel, this one person was, and I don't remember which agent it was, but she was talking about how all of a sudden one of her clients, a voice actor, his audition started to sound really weird to her. And she was concerned. She was concerned because he sounded different. And it turned out he was meditating before his auditions
Yes.
because his energy was different. His energy was lower or something. Not lower,
Yeah.
but like his voice, there was something about it. And so she told him to stop meditating before the auditions, meditate
Yeah.
afterwards, because she needed him to sound with that same
Yeah.
vibration as before to get the jobs, that she was
Mm.
presenting. But am I saying that right, Rachel?
Yeah,
Remember that?
absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember who it was though. I remember that. I remember hearing that. Who was it? Who said that anyway? But yes, absolutely. It's yeah,
It's kind of
our
like
voice.
walking into a room and the person, there's maybe someone had a fight in that room and you can tell, ooh, it feels off here. Even though they're like, hi, welcome. And you're like, ooh, what happened?
Mm.
It's the voice. It's the same thing. And when we can recognize these beautiful intricacies, we can notice, oh, our friend is in pain. Even though they're saying everything is fine, you can sense it. And
Mm.
when we are more educated about that, when we learn that, the art of all of that, we can help each other better.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, can you tell everyone how they can find out more about you, how they can become involved in everything that you do and you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love you all to come and connect with me. You can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on yeah, all the social media. So you can find me, just look up Rachael Naylor and feel free to DM me. And then the VoiceOver Network. So you can come and join the VoiceOver Network. Go to thevoiceovernetwork.org and you can find out loads of information about the voiceover industry and what we provide at the VoiceOver Network. But if you would like to, what I'd like to do is offer you a special deal for everybody who's listening. So if you'd like to come and join the VoiceOver Network and give us a try and see if it's for you, you can join on the Aspire level of membership, which is normally $39 a month. But what we'll do for you guys is you'll get 50% off the first month. So it's a nice little introductory deal. Come give us a try. Join on the Aspire, and then where it says coupon, you just put in Von Friends. So VON Friends, and that'll give you 50% off the first month.
I'm
So
serious,
come
you guys. This has changed my life. You're wonderful, Rachel. Thank you so much. All the links are in our show notes. So just in case you're like, what? How do you spell that? You'll have all the links on our website, on our show notes. Rachel, I hope you come back soon. Maybe AI would be another conversation.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Rachel.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure.
Everyone have a beautiful every day. If you need us, we're here anytime you need to talk. We are here for you. We'll talk to you soon.
Be well.